Hey, this is Reverend Gerald Cameron,
And my name is Pastor Sheena Cameron.
and this is Word Up, a community where preachers grow. And today we wanted to do something a little bit different. We want to give you some words of wisdom for your ministry, to give you some practical tools. We've been in our new appointments. Church is for about 5 weeks. And so we wanted to share with you some insight that we've had from that, and also just some insights from half a decade of pastoral ministry for both of us, and just what we've learned thus far.
Yes, and so today's topic is going to be how to prevent burnout. And I'll start with me. It boils down to two things. Number one, I keep a work-life balance, which means that any goal I set for myself is as important or more important than a goal I set for my church and at the work week. The reason being is because if I have to do something such as housework, if I have to do something such as exercise, walk my dog, even get a pedicure, I'm not going to put myself last. And as females, I know sometimes we tend to put ourselves last, but here's the reason why I don't do it. Because there's only one me. And if I'm not whole, if I'm not together, if I'm all over the place, although I might not see that it's spilling over into my ministry, even though I might not see that it's spilling over into my marriage, if I'm all over the place, anything I touch is going to be all over the place. So I make sure I take care of me. And I think the way that I do that on the work opposite end of this is I set expectations and I stick with them. So for example, if I am going to be off the grid because I have a daytime appointment, but I know that there's some emails or some text messages where people are waiting on something from me or sending me something that I need to see, I simply shoot them a reply. Hey, I saw this response, I saw this attachment, or I will look at this at another point in time. I'm going to be off the grid for 4 or 5 hours. I don't get into what I'm doing. I don't get into where I'm at. Not that I get into excuses, because I think what I'm doing as a pastor is showing people that it's okay not to think, I have to reply immediately. Every text message and every call doesn't need to be replied to or responded to immediately. And I think what I'm doing for my congregants is I'm helping them understand you're not in limbo. You're just waiting for me to get finished one thing and give my full attention to you. So those two things help me to prevent burnout, because everything that I'm walking into has an appointed time, has its own attention given to it, and I don't allow, or I put it this way, I try not to allow myself to get pulled like Stretch Armstrong into multiple different ways at the same time.
And just to piggyback off what my wife said, I think it's helpful to have a conversation with your church about setting healthy expectations for what they require of the pastor. And the reason why is because a lot of our congregants have great intentions and want the best for the pastor, but sometimes they may not know the boundaries that we should set. And so just to have those conversations, especially if you are a new pastor, a lot of the work of the church, many of the congregants may push off to you because they feel like you have more energy than they do, and so you may become the chosen lamb for a lot of things. And so just know that, just have conversations with them to share with them, to be honest and say, this is my expectations, this is what I can do, and just for them to visually see it. Because sometimes if people visually can see it, then they think differently. And so if you are going into your new appointment, or if you've been in your appointment for less than a year, it's wise to just take a step back a little bit and to get to know people, but also get to know yourself in this season. So that way you can know what are your strengths and weaknesses, what are your best practices, and how do you cope. And learning those things, I think, help you to not burn out and to go for a longer period of time, and to not be a people's pleaser, but to do everything in excellence. So,
Yes. And I just hope that, although we are speaking in appointment terms because we are Methodists, I just hope that if you're in a different denomination, or even if you have planted a church, that you don't ever think of it as robbery to put the time out. You see things getting out of hand and say, you know what, I want to call my leadership team together and I want to do what my husband just said about setting the boundaries, because I think it works in multiple contexts. So thank you so much for your closing comments, and we thank you so much for tuning in to Word Up, a community where preachers grow.